Okay, we move at the beginning of סימן in the Alter Rebbe Shabbos, which is a same topic of the Kavlan, which we already discussed before. What's the definition of the Kavlan? When could the Yid have Revach from Shabbos and when not? The Alter Rebbe in Sif Aleph and סימן Daled defines the Kavlan as follows. Kibel olav lasis kach v'kach. He accepted upon himself to do a job in a specific format. Be'ad sochar kach v'kach, or for a specific price to finish the job. Then Alter Rebbe says it doesn't make a difference if you do it with your own materials, if you do it with somebody else, if you do it with the materials of the Yid, if you do it with the guy's materials. For example, that if he does it with the materials of the Yid, has to be that he gave him וקצת leisachar, that has to be a ktzitzit. It's not just enough that he tells him to finish the job. It doesn't make a difference whether he accepted to finish the whole job or he gets paid per part of the job, but the payment is not per day, the payment is per part of the job. Alter Rebbe explains the difference between that and a schiur. And then it's mutter, the Alter Rebbe says, by a Kavlan, even out of Shabbos, right before Shabbos starts, even though sheyodeya v'roitze, the Yid knows and he wants that the work should be done on Shabbos, as long as there's enough time with Shabbos or before Shabbos to do the work, if the guy wants to do it at that amount of time. But the restriction is he can't do it in the house of a Yid, he can't tell him on Shabbos to do the work, and he has to finalize the deal before Shabbos. Why is it mutter? Why is a Kavlan mutter? Because the guy is not doing it for the benefit of the Jew, he's doing it for toivas atzmi, for his own benefit. Because he wants to lemahir lehashlim melachta, he's rushing to finish his job, to receive his payment. And it's considered his melacha, because his idea is to complete the malacha and to get paid, and he's not considered like a shliach of the Yid. But a schiur doesn't have those. The malacha is not his. It's not on him. He doesn't care about it. His kavanah is not the fact that he's working. His kavanah is not because he wants to finish the work, because he wants to get paid. He never accepted upon himself to finish the work. There's no kablanos to finish the whole melacha. His kavanah is to work for the Jew the amount of hours the Jew wants him to work for, whatever the Jew wants, but he's working for the Jew. Therefore, he's considered like the shliach of the Yid. On the yodeya veroitze, that the Yid knows and wants is going to happen, that it should happen on Shabbos, but there's time before and after, the long kuntasachrin. Aleph, the first kuntasachrin, which we're going to summarize now, and the differences between that and the Madura Basra, which we already discussed the previous year. I'm just going to point out the differences, because most of what the Madura Basra was already explained, the Yesodis in the previous year. So now we're going to go through kuntasachrin over here, and again point out the differences that we pointed out last time between the Madura Basra and the kuntasachrin. Essentially, the way this looks like, we have the Shulchan Aruch was written first, then the kuntasachrin, then the Madura Basra, or the Hagoy on the kuntasachrin, but those two are written after the kuntasachrin, because they are the Hagoy on the kuntasachrin matches the Madura Basra. That short Hagoy matches the Madura Basra. We'll get to it soon. So kuntasachrin explains like this. We said that even though the guy is working on Shabbos, the Yid wants it to be done on Shabbos, it's still not asur. Even if the Jew still needs it right away, Mitzvah Shabbos. And Alter Rebbe says it's not like the Tosfos Shabbos. The Tosfos Shabbos holds that it's asur because the Yid is making revach from it. Why is that? Why not? Because why don't we follow Tosfos Shabbos? Because in Shulchan Aruch it's very clear that if the Yid needs a specific piece of clothing that's being done on Shabbos, that's not considered a revach for him. Also, another ayah that he brings us, it's mashma from the Taz, it's something that Alter Rebbe mentions, that there's an issur to tell the guy to finish the malacha of Motzei Shabbos. There's an issur to tell the guy, but it doesn't say, it's mashma, there's no issur if the guy does it without telling him that you need it for Motzei Shabbos right away. Why is that? The Yisrael al-Tereb is you have to differentiate between hanoi and harvacha. Hanoi is I'm having enjoyment. Harvacha is I'm profiting. So, harvacha, certain forms of revach is asur. Hanoi is not asur. So, then we have to see over here, how does this fit into what we just mentioned? The Yid knows and wants it should be done on Shabbos. Is it hanoi? Is it revach? Where does it fall into? It says you're from a hanoi, you're allowed to have hanoi from Motzei Shabbos. Even when you need it on Shabbos, on Motzei Shabbos, after Kadesh Yasu passes. And then Al Rebbe points out, if you're not 100% sure that it was made on Shabbos, you don't have to wait Kadesh Yasu. It's an interesting thing to point out. The Kadesh Yasu is when you know for sure it was made on Shabbos. If you don't know for sure it was done, the malacha was done on Shabbos, you don't even have to wait Kadesh Yasu. It's mutter right away. And those that were oiser to have revach on Shabbos, like the Ravid, what revach are they talking about? Talking harvachas nechosav, that his property became more. Misravchin umisrabin. There's more, there's actual profit being generated as a result of the guy's work on Shabbos. So therefore, when the Yid has a revach nechosim on Shabbos from the guy's work, then it's mechzik shluchai. It looks like the guy is your shliach, and therefore it is aser. And even if he's a Kabbalan, even though you could say that the guy is doing it for his own sake to get paid, being that there's a revach nechosim, according to those people, still mechzik like he's doing it b'shluchusay. But stam hanoi is there's no, not mechzik shluchai. Stam hanoi is not mechzik shluchai.
Is that a Marasai?
Mechzik shluchai is not Marasai, it's something else. Shluchus.
What's the swara to Kolel?
Between what?
Between Allah is not going to be shluchai and harvacha isn't.
Harvacha. The harvacha means that my bank account is growing. So if somebody sees a guy working and knows that my bank account grew, what is he going to think? The guy is working for me. I asked the guy to do work for me on Shabbos, so I should profit from it. The guy is also profiting from it. Fine, but I am also profiting from it. If I'm also profiting from it, it's also looks like he's doing it for me. Hanoi, I'm not profiting from it. I'm having enjoyment. Who's the one who's profiting from it? The guy. The guy is getting a payment for finishing his work. It's not my shlich. I have hanoi from something that the guy did on Shabbos.
What about the shop that says that even doesn't have the
Depends how you say it. Is he talking about a Kavlan? Talking about a Kavlan when he's doing it for himself.
Yeah, no. They're saying he's bringing from Shin Kavlan.
Depends how it's done.
About the line. That shop.
Remember. It says that when the Magen Avram says that by hikpid it's asur, what is hikpid referring to? He says when a Jew is makpid, that it should specifically be done dafke on Shabbos, and he cannot push it off to after Shabbos, because if it gets pushed off to after Shabbos, he's going to completely lose all his money. Then, even if it's hanoi, that's still considered really a revach. And then, still mechzik shluchai. Then he brings another point, what the Magen Avram says, that it's asur stam to have revach on Shabbos, is only when there's no ktsitzas damim, when there's no specific payment decided beforehand. But if there was a ktsitzah, you're not chayshish to it. אם הוא קבלן או לא קבלן, מה היסוד של קבלנות? ברגע ש...
מה ההבדל בין מזג שלוחו?
אם אני קוצץ את המחיר, אז זה כבר לא מחזי. ברגע שאני קוצץ על מחיר על עבודה, זה כבר נגמר מחזי. אני לא פועל שלך, אני פועל אני גומר את מה שביקשו ממני לעשות. את העבודה הספציפית הזאת, לא את הכל. And why is he machmer? He's machmer Sechir Shana. This is important to remember this. Over here, the Alter Rebbe is going to make a differentiation between Sechir Shana and Sechir Yoim in reverse from what the Madhu Rabbi and in reverse from what we discussed last time. By Sechir Shana, he's a yearly paid a person who's paid a yearly salary. If the guy is not going to work on Shabbos, he's not going to lose payment. So the guy has no revach right now from doing the work on Shabbos. Even if you're ktzitzah and you say a specific price and everything else, ultimately you made a ktzitzah for the job for the year. You're not taking off from this guy. We discussed it in the beginning of the previous Siman. You're not taking from this guy for not working on Shabbos. So if you're not taking off from him money on Shabbos, means the guy is not making money on Shabbos. There's no revach for the guy on Shabbos. And even though it's a Kabbalan, and the guy is doing it for his adaite of himself because he wants to finish the job, but he's not profiting on Shabbos. He's profiting for the whole year. Shabbos, if he's not going to work on Shabbos, you're not going to take off money from him. So therefore, being that the Yid has revach and the guy has no revach, he's not going to lose anything if he doesn't work. Therefore, it's back to Mechzi. Seems like he is the Shluchai Shal Yisrael. And it says, if there's no K'tzitza, have a Ki'ilu like Vatzatzat, as if you didn't do anything. But if there's Revach also for the guy and also for the Yid, then it doesn't look like he's doing it. There's no Mechzi. It doesn't look like he's doing it for the Jew. He's doing it for himself. The Yid is also getting Revach. No. But the main thing he's doing is for himself. But by Sechir Shana, there's no revach for him. There's only revach for there's no revach for him. There's only revach for the guy. There's only revach for the Yisrael. The Meilas also. So now the Alter Rebbe goes, says the Rosh, that he's oiser in Kablanus because it seems even by Kablanus in certain scenarios, there's still an issue of Mechzi that it seems like he's doing it for the Yid. Even if there was K'tzitza, even by the Kablanus, the reason is, the Alter Rebbe says, is only talking about when you give it to the guy on Erev Shabbos. And there is Revach. Because then, if you give it to him on Erev Shabbos, and the Yid has Revach, even though the guy also has Revach, and the Yid has Revach, then it's the first explanation of Alter Rebbe, then it's Mechzi K'shluchah. Looks like he's doing it, like he's doing it for the Yid. But if he gives it to him on Wednesday or Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, then it's mutter. Yeah, that's the first explanation. Alter Rebbe says, no, let's explain the Rosh in a different way. And then that's when Alter Rebbe goes into Revach Nechosim or not. He says, when there's a Revach Nechosim, or there's a Revach in the Melacha when it's being done specifically on Shabbos. For example, that he's leaving the moment Shabbos ends. He needs it right away, Mitzvah Shabbos. He's going out of town, Mitzvah Shabbos. He's leaving his house the moment after Shabbos ends. He needs this done. And he gives it the moment before Shabbos. At the moment the guy is working, the Yid has Revach. Why? Because the Yid Dafka wants it on Shabbos. The guy doesn't have Revach from working on Shabbos, because the guy could have done it an hour after Shabbos. If it would be up to him, he could have chosen, I don't want to work at night. I want to sit the whole morning. I want to go to the beach, Shabbos morning. It's a quiet day. I don't want to work. But the Yid told him, so the guy is working for himself to get paid. But the time he's working in on Shabbos is not for himself. That's only for the Yid. And the Yid, the Alter Rebbe says, Chafetz, he wants, Roitze, Umakpid, 3 things that should be done on Shabbos. And therefore it's considered that the whole Melacha on Shabbos is for the Jew. And therefore it's Mechzi K'shluchah.
That's only possible. That's only a possibility for
to be done.
And it's not in time.
No, when it's not, when you tell me you want mamish the moment Shabbos ends,
I'm saying, it's a field, apply only if the malacha is.
Something that could be done, not something that you lose right away. Something you lose, it's anyways also. We discussed it, we just mentioned it before. If it's a malacha, if you're going to wait till after Shabbos, it's going to be done. For example, there's a rain coming, you got to plow your fields. If you miss the rain, you missed it. Then, technically you could do it Sunday also, but the rain is coming, you lost your chance. The forecast is showing rain today, not tomorrow. If you're not going to plow the field and put the things in, you're not going to plant it, you're not going to get anything out of it. That's a different. I'm talking about when there is over here, that it's a kablanus with ktzitzis damin, but being the hanoi of actual Shabbos is only to the Jew, not to the goy. Shabbos ends at 5:30 p.m. The goy could have done it at 6 p.m. It was not something so big to do. Change the oil, whatever, change the tires. I'm not changing the oil, such as. And I'm not sure exactly what they said over there is. It's also, but saying is how exactly it's also. But doing something which is mamash aser, which is a short thing to do, he could do it right after Shabbos. But the Yid needs it the moment Shabbos ends. The Mele, even though it's kablanos, even though it's ktzitzah, because the work on Shabbos is only for the Yid, not for the guy. That is aser, according to the Rosh. And therefore, all the profit and all the hanoah that's coming, all the revach that's coming on from the work on Shabbos is only for the Jew. And therefore, it's clear, it's mechzi, it's more than mechzi, that it's only working for the Yid. And therefore, there's a chiyuv mechor, even though the guy is doing it to get paid. Because it's a kablan. The guy is not a shchir, the guy is a shchir, the guy is a kablan. He's working for his own pocket. But the work, he's working for himself. But he's working on Shabbos for you. And therefore it's us. And then the Alter Rebbe says, just in parentheses, the Alter Rebbe says that you can't say that you can't say it's also because of Shchir Yoim. You can't say that this becomes like a Shchir Yoim because Etzem is a Kablan. And by Shchir Yoim, he says it could be that a Shchir Yoim is better than a Shchir Shana. The Alter Rebbe points out over here. But Shchir Yoim is much better than Shchir Shana over here. And this again, the Madura Basa, he changes it. Why? Because by Shchir Yoim, he knows if he's not going to work on Shabbos, he's not going to get paid. He's not going to work for this day, he's not going to get paid. The Madura Basa, the Alter Rebbe flips it completely, but let's focus on the Kudus now. By Shchir Shana, he's not going to work today, he's still going to get paid. Shchir Yoim, he's not going to work today, he's not going to get paid. So he's working for himself, even though it's not a kablan. Shchir Yom, the chayr is less than a shchir Shabbos. Then a shchir shana. Then a kablan, sorry. What? That's why he goes back in the Mishnah and says that doesn't work out. I'm saying when it's shchir Yom for specifically for this work on Shabbos is not defined for the work. He says, Alter Rebbe says, maybe a Shchir Yoim, doesn't say for sure, maybe Shchir Yoim because he's less of a problem than a Shchir Shana. It's in the parenthesis in, I don't know specifically where it is, I'll point it out to you soon. Now, if the Jew has only Hanoah and has no Revach, even though he needs it right away when it's a Shabbos, or Mamish on Shabbos, and even if the Hanoah is from the work that was done on Shabbos, only because it's done on Shabbos, such a scenario would still be mutter. Why? Because in this case, the Goy and the Yid both have Hanoah from it. The Goy has Hanoah from this work because he is finishing his work on Shabbos. And even though he doesn't have a specific revach, he has a hanoah that he did what he has to do. So even though the goy doesn't have a specific revach, but he has a hanoah. And the yid also only has a hanoah. So yid and the goy have a hanoah, so it's fine. The yid and the goy have revach, it's also fine, depending in which scenario it is. Now then the Alter Rebbe comes and goes to a different kav. He says, what's the reason why the Ravid says that it's also in the case of Marviach, even though he's doing it for himself. And even though he's doing it for his own benefit, and on his own schedule, so to speak, is because the Ravid's idea is it's also for you to have any profit from the work of a guy on Shabbos. Why? Because of Gzeira. Gzeira is maybe he'll tell the guy to do. So therefore, the Chachamim were geyser that any form of revach on Shabbos is asur. And therefore, not only it's also to tell him, if you see him doing it for you, you have to stop him from doing a work for you that's going to bring you revach. How do you do it? There's different scenarios. If you have a Shchir Shana that gets paid a yearly salary, you have to go over to him and tell him, I am not going to remove from you money if you don't work on Shabbos. I'm paying you a full salary. Shabbos is not, you don't have to work on Shabbos. Why is this? Because over here, the Yid is not losing money. All he is not making money from the work of the guy on Shabbos. It's Meniach Sarevach, it's not Chisar and Kis. So, if there's a scenario of Meniach Sarevach and not Chisar and Kis, the guy does not lose his anor, the Yid does not lose money, he's not making money. Because he will pay the yearly salary anyways. And that is the chiyuv on the Yid to be moiche and moichel. He has to be moichel only when he himself is not going to have any loss. And here comes the agoy, which I'm not going to get into it now, the short agoy that Alter Rebbe says. Now, if the Yid cannot do this without causing himself a loss.
Why is that a loss? He's paying for someone who's not working.
Because he paid him a yearly salary to do work.
Paying for Shabbos,
No, he's not paying him for Shabbos. He's paying him a full yearly salary for working. So he'll work a different day. Working a little bit more hours, whatever it is. He's not going to lose. It's not somebody that if he's not going to do the work, it's going to be gone. He'll work on Mitzvah Shabbos, he'll work on Sunday, whatever it is. But if the Yid cannot do it without the Yid causing himself a loss, that means if the Yid cannot stop the guy in a way that's not going to cause the Yid an actual loss, and is going to cause the guy also that he's going to stop his annoy, then you don't have to be moicha when a guy does for himself and for his own benefits. Even though the Yid is also going to profit from it. But being that if the Yid is going to stop him, is going to lose for it, then he is not chayav to stop him. That means we make you stop from Meniach Sarevach, but not from Chisar and Kis. And then Alter Rebbe says there's another scenario. There's another scenario you don't have to stop. For example, could be that the Yid is not going to lose anything. There's no Chisar and Kis. It's only Meniach Sarevach. But if you're going to tell the guy you don't have to work on Shabbos, the guy for his own benefit will still work. For example, a guy who's an artist. The artist makes profit, makes money from the fruits he collects. That's his profit. So you could tell a guy, don't pick any fruits on my field on Shabbos. I'm not going to cut your salary. The fruits are not going to go bad. The oranges are not going to fall. You're not going to lose all the oranges on Shabbos. Come Sunday, pick the oranges. A little bit yellower, a little bit sweeter. Relax. Come tomorrow. He doesn't want to. He wants to work today. The Yid is not losing anything. The guy is not. You told the guy, I'm not cutting your salary if you're not coming. You could take off the day. He dafka wants to come on Shabbos because for him it's his own benefit, and the Yid is going to profit because he's going to cut all the oranges on Shabbos. Then Mitzvah Shabbos he could already sell them. The Yid doesn't need it. He could wait another day, but he's ready. Then the Yid is also allowed to be marviach, even though there's no chisar and kis by stopping him. There's no chisar and kis; it's still mutter. Why? Because the guy would have still done it anyways. But something which, if you tell the guy, "Don't do it, I'll still pay you," he's talking not going to do it. If a guy sits in the office and his job is to process mailings, whatever it is, and you're going to tell him you have a yearly salary, don't come Shabbos, and he's talking not going to come Shabbos. He's not going to lose anything. If you don't tell him and he shows up on Shabbos, you tell him go home. You're not losing anything. Take the day off. You're not losing any money from working for me today because I'm profiting, and he's not losing anything. But if it's something that the guy would still do, then not. If the guy, for whatever reason, is going to profit on Shabbos from doing it for himself, and he's still going to do it, then you don't have to stop him. That's in short the kuntasach. And then there's two big crucial differences between the Madura Basra and the kuntasach. We mentioned in passing that a Shchir Yoim, that the Alter Rebbe over here seems to imply that a Shchir Yoim is not as bad as a Shchir Shana. Because Shchir Shana, he's not going to lose anything. His Shchir Shana doesn't lose anything by not working on Shabbos. You're not going to take off any money from him. But a Shchir Yoim is losing if he doesn't work on Shabbos. And therefore it's might be mutter because the guy is working at that in the nafshay. He's working for himself. He's not working for the Yid. He's working really for himself. In the Madura Basra, the way he explains the difference between a Shchir Shabbos and a Shchir is completely different. The Madura Basra explains what's the difference between a Shchir and a Kablan. That by a Sachir, the fact that I am hiring somebody to do the work for me, it seems like I hired him to work for me on Shabbos as a Shchir. I'm not a Shchir Yom, Shchir Shana, Shchir Chodesh, whatever it is. It looks like I hired him to work for me on Shabbos. So by Shchir Shana, people are going to say, okay, you hired him for the whole year. He works whichever day he feels like it. So it's not such a mechzi. By Shchir Yom, it's much more mechzi. Because it means, what's the definition of mechzi according to the Madura Basra? What will people see based on how you hired him? If you hire him as a Shchir Yom, or you pay him day by day for each day that he works, and he's not a Kabbalah, he's a Shchir Yom, gets paid by day. He can come work for you, and there's no bigger mechzi than that. Because everybody looks at it and says, what do you mean? He came to work, he's getting paid every day. Obviously, he came on Shabbos because he's getting paid on Shabbos. And what work is he doing? He's not a Kabbalah, he's getting paid because he's working for you. He's working for you, he's a Shchir Shabbos. He's mamish mechzi k'shluchei. Shchir Yom, mamish mechzi k'shluchei. Mamish working for the Yid. He's not working for himself, he's working for the Yid. The Yid hired him to do work for him on Shabbos. That's why the Yid is paying him day by day. Paying him for Sunday, paying him for Monday, paying him for Friday, paying him for Shabbos. If it's a Shchir Shana, then the guy is okay. The guy was bored at home and came to work. He's not Dafka came for the Yid, there's no mechzi. That's the Madura Basra. It's the opposite of the Kuntasachin. The Kuntasachin, the way the Kuntasachin is explained, the Kuntasachin is that the Shchir Yom, you look at how much the guy is profiting. Is the guy profiting from it? If the guy is profiting from the work he's doing today, then he's doing it adait nafshei. The ikar is, what's the guy thinking? In the Madura Basra, the ikar is mechzi. Well, how's it going to look? What's the way it looks out? That's the first difference. And therefore, in the Madura Basra, it's clear that Shchir Yom is for sure Asr, even more than Shchir Shana. As Shchir Shana, you have certain shittas where it might be different. The next point is, in the Kuntasachin, the Alter Rebbe gives four ways how a Yid could have revach on Shabbos. Not hanor, revach. One, the first thing that Alter Rebbe mentions is you could do it on a weekday. Technically, the Yid needs it on Motzei Shabbos, but he doesn't tell the guy to do it on Motzei Shabbos. That's right in the beginning of the Kuntasachin. So then, if there's revach, it's fine. Another way, if his mamash a Koblen, and he's doing it because he wants to get paid. He wants to get paid. He's doing it because he wants to finish the work and get paid. And you're not giving it to him mamash the moment Shabbos starts and taking it back from him the moment Shabbos ends. It's like what the Rosh says. You give it to what the Alter explains to the Rosh. Give it 2 days before Shabbos. Then it doesn't seem like you're taking him for Shabbos. Another way you could do it is if it's going to cause you chisar and kiss if you stop the guy from doing it. Or if the Yid is going to if the guy is going to anyways work, even though there's no chisar and kiss if you stop him, but the guy, if you're going to tell him like your artist, the guy is anyways going to come work. So those are 4 ways you're allowed to do revach on Shabbos. Yeah, but in Madura Basra, it seems the other way around. That has nothing to do with how you the idea has nothing to do with what the guy, if the guy is going to lose money off it or not, that you're going to take money from the guy or not going to take money off the guy. It's nothing to do with what the guy's bottom line is. Until now, we see it might have to do with the guy's bottom line. Is he going to work for himself? He's not working for himself. Is he going to lose money? He calls it chisar and kiss for himself, chisar and kiss for the guy. Is the guy not going to have a no? No, why? Because a sechir, whether it's a sechir shana, sechir yom, whatever it is, by sechir shana, according to Madura Basra, it seems like a yid might be able to have a noer, could be marviach from the guy, because it's not mechzer, he's working for him. He doesn't tell him to work on Shabbos for him. Yeah, if he's telling him to work on Shabbos, it's obviously also, or if he tells him right away, even if it's sechir shana. But the point is that if he's working for himself, the difference in the Kabbalah and Sachir is, as I said, by a Sachir, Sechir Shana, the Yid could have Revach. And by a Kabbalah, as long as the guy is hired for a specific melacha, then it's mutter. Means according to Madura Basa, the definition of a Kabbalah, the Revach from a Kabbalah has nothing to do with all the conditions around if the guy is going to lose money, not going to lose money from it. That's between Sechir and Kabbalah. Once you go into the realm of Kabbalah, that the guy is being hired for a melacha, and the chefts of the melacha is on the guy, that's what to be marviach from the Shabbos, regardless of all the conditions. In Kuntasachan, he puts all these conditions on it, different scenarios. The Rabbi, no, it's along with the Rabbi, it makes it a little simpler. There's mechzi. If it's schiris, you have a problem with mechzi. Sometimes you might, by schir shana, you have less of a problem with mechzi. By schir, you have more of a problem with mechzi. By a kabbalah, there's no mechzi. If you hired him for a specific job, then he is allowed to do it. As long as it's not, you didn't tell him on Shabbos, or you didn't tell him right away out of Shabbos, go do it for me on Shabbos. It's a separate issur. That's also in the kabbalah. But the revach of Shabbos doesn't make a difference. Revach nechasim, revach like this, nothing. As long as the Kabbalah as long as he's defined as a Kabbalah, the Yid is allowed to have revach from what the guy did. That is the two main differences. Madura Basa, this Madura Basa that's official in Reish Gimel goes through. It's really relevant to all the siman that talk about it. All this Reish Gimel, Reish Daled, Reish Hey, and Shins, Reish Nun something, and Shins also. All these simanim are all the nekudas that are discussed in Madura Basra contradict all the Kuntas Achrons and the Alter Rebbes that are along this topic, because it changes the whole definition, the difference in Sechir and the Kabbalah, and by therefore also changes when the Revach, which Revachim are mutter and which Revachim are asr, and when the Revachim are given. And with this.